So a lot of you guys have been asking me to find more affordable laptops. This one came across my desk and I think a lot of you might find it very interesting. This is the Lenovo IdeaPad 730S. And if you're in Europe, it's known as the Yoga S730. Same laptop, just slightly different names. This is a budget to mid-range Ultrabook, perfect for those of you out there who want something fairly premium but don't want to break the bank. Now here's the thing, it's 2.4 pounds and it's 13 inches, so it's fairly light, easy to carry around, perfect for students or people who travel to work every day. Build quality is pretty good. It's not as good as, let's say, the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 Carbon, but it is good for its price point. You're basically getting a plastic build in iron gray with the Lenovo symbol on the bottom right-hand corner. In terms of keyboard flex, there's a little bit, but it's nothing to complain about. The hinge on the laptop goes 180 degrees, similar to like the Yoga laptop that you're used to seeing. Now the hinge is pretty stiff. However, I think it could be slightly stiffer because if you're holding it like this, and let's say you move the laptop a little bit, it will flop down. Other things, port situation. Left-hand side, you get USB Type-C. This is just strictly for power delivery. And you also have a headphone jack. On the right-hand side, you have two USB Type-C Thunderbolt 3 ports. This is a big deal because most Ultrabooks at this price point come with USB Type-C, but it's usually not with Thunderbolt 3. The display is usually the one area that companies cheap out on when it comes to budget to mid-range laptops, but Lenovo actually put a really great display in this. I'm talking about 100% sRGB, good Adobe RGB, and brightness that's over 300 nits. Usually this is the area that companies will put inferior panels in to reduce the cost of production. Now, the bezels are not too bad. They're not super thin, but they're not crazy thick either. You do get a 720p webcam on top. And of course, as you can expect, like every other webcam, it doesn't look the greatest, but I'd imagine it's fine for most people using this laptop. You don't have Windows Hello in the webcam, but you do have Windows Hello using the fingerprint scanner on the bottom right-hand corner. Sound is coming out of two speakers on the bottom of the laptop. It does support Dolby Atmos. It doesn't get super loud, but it is loud enough to fill up a small to medium-sized room. Now, because they're not front-facing, you are going to notice a little bit of tinniness, but overall sound quality is pretty good. The keyboard. This is one area where it's not as good as other ThinkPad products. I like the Lenovo U-shaped keys. The spacing is fantastic, but obviously it's slightly more mushy compared to something like the Lenovo X1 Carbon, which has nice actuation and great force. There is two levels of backlighting that you can change from. You can't change the color, you're stuck with white. Touchpad. They did a great job with this. It is glass, it is using Windows Precision drivers, so accuracy, scrolling is all fantastic. Now in terms of upgrades, not much is upgradable. The only thing you have access to is the M2 NVMe drive. The one that comes in here is already ridiculously fast, so you don't have to worry about upgrading that anytime soon. But if you're planning to buy this, you can only get it with 8 or 16 gigabytes of RAM. But whatever you decide to go with, just remember that the memory is soldered onto the motherboard. The battery is 42 watt hours, and I was getting about 6.5 hours of battery life before needing to charge. This is not the best for an Ultrabook, but it's still very respectable. Performance is pretty good on this laptop. I mean, you're not buying this to play the latest AAA titles. If you buy the i7 version of this, you can probably run games like Overwatch or League of Legends with the settings set to low. But I have the i5 model here. This one has 8 gigabytes of RAM, a very fast hard drive, and I was able to do the typical things that most people do on a daily basis without breaking a sweat. If you're doing Photoshop, if you're doing number crunching, even if you're doing programming on this thing, it's going to be able to handle it. Heat management is also fantastic on this laptop. Because it's using the latest generation of Whiskey Lake processors, the U series, you're getting great efficiency, a low TDP, and good heat management. The surface temperatures never really surpass 46 degrees Celsius. Fan noise is pretty good. I wouldn't say it's exceptional. Like when this thing is idle, you can hear the fans spinning. They're not super loud, but if you're in a quiet library, it might be annoying. When it is under full load, they are more noticeable, but not to the point where it's going to drive you crazy. So here's the thing. The difference between this and a high-end Ultrabook is pretty much just the finishes. You're sacrificing a slightly better keyboard or slightly better design for a more affordable price tag. But what Lenovo did was to make sure to keep the key core components in here. You still have the great display, you still have pretty good battery life, you still have the super fast SSD, and most importantly, you still have Thunderbolt 3. A lot of other laptops at this price point just don't come with it. So that wraps up my review of the 730S. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Links to it will be in the description, so if you're interested in checking it out, you can. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.